Hey guys, today we're looking at the Radeon 9000 Pro. Reviews started to appear in 2002. It is based on the RV250 GPU, which runs at 275 MHz core clock. We have 64 megabytes of DDR memory with 550 MHz effective memory clock speed. The GPU is a cut-down version of the R200 GPU from the Radeon ATI 500, much smaller, and it was therefore cheaper to produce. It still has 4 pipelines, but only 1 texture unit per pipeline instead of 2, and also there's only 1 vertex unit instead of 2. So despite the 9000 model name, it is not DirectX 9 compatible. It can do DirectX 8.1, however. It was pitched against the GeForce 4 MX cards and also the GeForce 3, especially the TI 200. Unfortunately, the Radeon 9000 cards launched a little bit late compared to the GeForce 4 MX and the GeForce 3 TI 200. We got this Radeon 9000 Pro sent to us by Electromind from Germany. There's a link down below in the description and also a 20% discount voucher. Now 2002, that puts the card in the early Windows XP era, but it fully supports also Windows 98, Millennium and 2000. The latest XP drivers on the website are version 6.11 from 2006 and the latest Windows 98 drivers are version 6.2 from 2005. I really like the drivers. They have all the options for anti-aliasing, anisotropic filtering and VSync, but you might also want to check out ATI tools and ATI tray tools, which were quite popular back in the day. Taking a closer look at the card, we have DVI, VGA as well as TV outputs, and this card has active cooling. Now there are lower clocked Radeon 9000s available with passive cooling if you're looking for a quite retro build. So let's take a look at some games. First up we've got Quake II. This is one of the older games, and yes, it runs at 1600 by 1200 resolution here. We're getting well over 60 FPS. The FPS are capped, but we can run the benchmark and we're seeing well over 100 FPS. So older games like Quake II, Draken, Expandable, all these games you can crank up the details and run it at 1600 by 1200 with more than 60 FPS, silky smooth. Here we have Delta Force Land Warrior. This game is more modern, it's from 2000. We're also having an FPS cap, just over 60 FPS. And also the resolution is capped at 1024 by 768. And once again, this is a game that runs silky smooth on this machine. Really good game actually, you can get it on GOG for a low price. And yeah, another game that runs great on this video card. And here we have Quake III running at 1600 by 1200. Also more than 60 FPS. Now, Quake III is also a good game to look for image quality. The RV250 GPU, which is based on the R200, has the same bug. It cannot use trilinear filtering with an anisotropic filtering enabled, and it falls back to bilinear filtering with hard transitions between the different texture sizes. So this was eventually removed with the R300 core in the Radeon 9700 and later cards. The bottom line is the anisotropic filtering will still give you better quality, but not quite as good looking as later cards. And here we have Serious Sam from 2001. Now, this game can be quite demanding, especially for older video cards. We have it running at 1600 by 1200 in quality mode. And even with this video card, we're not getting 60 FPS all the time, but it runs a lot better at 1280 by 1024. So it's perfect for 17-inch or 19-inch retro 5x4 LCD monitors. Now, this is a good game to look at texture filtering performance when we turn on anisotropic filtering. With AF turned off, we're getting 107 FPS, and with AF enabled 16x, we're getting 97 FPS. So the impact is minimal. However, turning on anti-aliasing, even just the 2x anti-aliasing, the performance drops from 107 FPS to just 35. So if you want to turn on anti-aliasing and anisotropic filtering at the same time, maybe use 1024 by 768, which we're seeing on the screen right now, and we're getting around 60 FPS. This is Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. This game launched in 2002 and supports DirectX 8, so it's a good representation of a game that launched in the same year as the video card. We have it running at 1600 by 1200, and you can see here that the FPS, yeah, they range from around 30 to 60 depending on what's going on. Now, this is a game, it's not a first-person shooter, so in my opinion, it doesn't really have to run at 60 FPS to be enjoyable, but of course, you can always lower the resolution to get closer to that frame rate. And we have one more game we're looking at. This is Far Cry from 2004 at 800 by 600 with medium details. It does struggle a bit, but I would still call this playable. You can lower the details even more and get higher FPS. But the bottom line is, if you had a Radeon 9000 back in the day, you could still play games well into the future, just with lower settings and not at 1600 by 1200 like with the old games. And Far Cry is a game that has multiple render paths, so on the Radeon 9000 it will run in DirectX 8 mode, so it won't look as nice as with a later DirectX 9 video card like a Radeon 9700 for example. So what do I think? Well, I really like this card. It has the sort of performance I'm looking for when playing older games. It lets you crank up the resolution and also play around with image enhancements, options like anti-aliasing and anisotropic filtering. It is a great fit for playing on a 1280 by 1024 monitor at 75 Hz and with VSync enabled for that silky smooth retro gaming experience. Being a DirectX 8.1 card, I know there are people out there that are specifically chasing such a card for a proper DirectX era retro gaming PC, and they're not interested in DirectX 9. Also, you don't have to muck around with the render path options. For example, on a Radeon 9700, if you want to play Far Cry in DirectX 8, you have to use certain command lines to make that happen. With the Radeon 9000, it will just automatically use the DirectX 8 version. I was very impressed with the drivers. All the games I tried worked without any issues, and it was a positive experience throughout. You shouldn't have too many issues finding such a card for a decent price on eBay, and if you want a passively cooled version, just look for the non-pro version. They are just clocked a little bit lower, but otherwise identical with the specifications and perform just a little bit less. So yeah, I think this is a great retro gaming video card. It would go well with early Windows XP games as well as handle pretty much any Windows 98 games. But what do you think about this video card? Share your thoughts down below in the comments. And that's it for this video. If you found it useful and you want to see more content like it, please subscribe, click on that notification bell and give it a like. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon with another one.